Hello guys, welcome back with me, Chow 2025 in Persona 4. Inaba Public Access Midnight Trivia Quiz, Big TV, PBS Visual Mover. Okay, we're going to watch the Mr. Edogawa TV Classroom. It's gonna inform you about the game.
TV Classroom.
Lesson 1. What are shadows and persona? Hello there, everyone. It's time for Mr. Edogawa's TV Classroom. This lecture is for those distinguished enough to tune in. I'm your lecturer, Mr. Edogawa of Gekogan High. You might be surprised to know that my day job is as a school nurse. Usually the students ask me about their health. But sometimes I get questions like this. Mr. Edogawa, what are personas and shadows? Apparently, I have them inside me. I was quite a shock to learn that there are students that diligence out there. After all, not many children would come to me asking about personas and shadows from Jungian psychology. It was due to those such requests that I decided to start this show, Mr. Edogawa's TV Classroom. This lecture will cover Jungian psychology, so you too can learn about personas and shadows, and much more beside. I call it Everyone Loves Jungian Psychology. Let's study the science of the human mind that Dr. Jung built. Today's lesson is the first installment. What are shadows and personas? Alright, let's get started. Halas Arun Azinomas. Personas, shadows? Now I mentioned this already, but persona and shadow are terms used in Jungian psychology. These terms are used to describe the workings of the human mind. But what exactly are persona and shadows? Another you lurking in your mind. According to Jung, there are others used inside yourself. Let's start with the persona. It is the other you that comes out when you interact with others. Think about it. When you talk to someone, is that the real you? Or was it the you that the person you were talking to was expecting? Or the you that you want people to see? Either of those yous are a persona. Personas are like masks. They connect you to the outside world by acting as the medium through which you present yourself. That sounds like a helpful other you, doesn't it? Persona there when you need them. Wait. But shadow, though, they are the other you that you reject. A good way to think about them is the you that you don't want to be and don't think of yourself as. Shadows are just that, shadows. They are the side of you that you keep locked away in your mind as evil. Sounds like a scary other you, eh? It appears that you need to handle shadows with care. Now, personas and shadows are both other you that you usually aren't aware of. So then, why aren't you aware of them? It's because you lurk deep inside your mind. Because it's your unconsciousness. Unconscious. The unconscious is the source of personas and shadows and the foundation of Jungian psychology. It's important to understand, so let's take a closer look at this unconscious. The unconscious of Jungian psychology. The term was originally derived from psychology. It may be hard for you to imagine, since the word is now used in everyday conversation. There is a domain in all of our mind that we are typically unaware of. This is known as the unconscious. And the unconscious is the source of the mind's activity. So you, and yes, even you, all have an unconscious deep within your mind, separate from the conscious mind you're aware of. The unconscious is said to be much bigger than the conscious mind too, like the part of an iceberg that's underwater. You could say that the Jungian psychology began by elucidating this vast unconscious. Are you all listening? Are you still conscious? The unconscious, hidden deep inside your mind. It is in the realm that you cannot explore that the power to change yourself lies. The power are the same others you inside your mind, the personas and shadows that I was just talking about. The others you live in the unconscious, lying in wait for the chance to make it out to the conscious mind. Who are they really, and how should you go about handling them? These are the concepts I'll be introducing you to. Make sure to tune in. The collective unconscious. Man is connected, suppressing time and place. So far, we covered the existence of the unconscious inside your mind, as well as the others you, known as personas and shadows which live there. Now let me add one thing to that. An important secret about the unconscious. This gets to the heart of the truth about your mind and the truth about the world. The unconscious within your mind is actually not just yours. Humans' minds are all connected, transcending space and time. In other words, man's unconscious is there. Did I forget to mention that this show will involve viewer participation every so often. When you see a selection on the screen, use the button in front of you to make your choice. Now that I've explained, man unconscious is there. That's amazing. That's stupid. I knew that. Okay, let's say that's amazing. Reacting to the otherworldly with pure surprise, I said that you were made for the world of the occult. So, is man unconscious really there? Have you ever noticed that no matter what the era or location, men tend to have certain sensitivities? Based on true, painstaking research, Jung suggests that man unconscious is indeed there. If Jung was alive today, he might say something like, the human mind isn't an isolated terminal, it's networked. And the network is known as the collective unconscious. The original German phrase is collective unbewusstes, in case you were curious. The archetype that become the other you. Now the other yous, the persona and shadows, to tell you the truth, they are deeply tied to this collective unconscious. I'll explain the terms more later, but they are archetype, made and born from the collective unconscious. It's starting to become quite a handful, isn't it? Collective unconscious what? Archmagic? Speak English, you kid! I can hear the scream from your heart. But by the time my lecture comes to a close, you'll be no doubt be saying, it was so collectively unconscious. What? Let's review a little, shall we? Use the button in front of you to answer. Are you ready? Alright, I ask D. The hidden you within your mind. What is the part of the mind where it dwells called the unconscious, the shadow, the persona, the unconscious? Very good, you pass with ease. So at the most basic level of this lesson, let's keep going and deepen our understanding of the mind. Now then, it looks like our time is up. Next time we'll dig a little deeper into the unconscious we'll talk about today. That's it for today. Okay. There's still a lot of this lesson. Whoa, there's a lot of them. Okay. Until next time. No, I'm not. Yeah, I will at least show you too. Mr. Edogawa TV Classroom, the unconscious is just there. The second of 10 lecture. Not gonna be a long video. It's not gonna be a short video.
Mr. Edogawa's TV Classroom.
Everyone loved Jungian's psychology. The unconscious of what? Hello there, everyone. It's time for Mr. Edogawa TV Classroom. Everyone loves Jungian psychology, an invitation to the you that you don't know. Today is installment 2. The unconscious is just there. Do you remember the last lecture? You're not already just glozing over it, are you? Now let's begin the class. Suras etar bezanas. Jung the psychiatrist. Scatrist. You heard me say Jung this and Jung that, but thinking back on it, I never explained who Jung is, did I? So this time I'll give you some biographical details throughout the lesson. Carl Jung was born in Switzerland in 1875. By the turn of the century, he has begun his career as a psychiatrist. He became a doctor who counseled people with mental illness. At the time, psychiatry was still in the very early stage of development. But there was one effective method of treatment known at the time. The method was hypnosis. The unconscious form of hypnosis. Through the use of hypnosis, Jung and his fellow doctor were able to treat their patient mental illness. While under hypnosis, the patient displayed sides of themselves that had never seen, as well as alternate personalities. So where did these hidden sides and other personalities come from? That becomes the question du jour. Where are they hiding? Essentially. If man could be aware of all the aspects of his mind, there should be nowhere to hide. But as it happened, there was. The conclusion that the psychiatrists come to was that there exists an area of the mind that people are not aware of. That is, of course, the unconscious. The opposite of the conscious. And that is how doctors like Jung first discovered the existence of the unconscious mind in those days. I'm sure many of you know, but the one who contributed the most to the discovery of the unconscious was Sigmund Freud. Freud could be considered Jung's mentor, but unfortunately we didn't have much time in this lesson to discuss their relationship. The unconscious was discovered by a group of extraordinary men. For now, just remember that fact. Now let me ask you, when you think of the unconscious, how do you feel? It's scary. I don't feel anything. Mad respect. It's scary. I don't feel anything. You treat it like air then, something you never really need to pay attention to. Well, perhaps your feeling about the unconscious will change after this lecture. Proof of unconscious. If you tell me it's there, I feel vaguely like it is. But in daily life, it's hard to believe because you cannot sense it. However, Jung and the other claim that you can detect the unconscious in your daily life even without hypnosis. One way is through slips, clinically known as paraphraxis. Things like a slip of the tongue or forgetting to do things fall into this category. You fit in a situation where you accidentally called someone such as your teacher, mommy, right? What you meant to say was, Miss Psycho, but something else slipped out. The unconscious is closer than you thought. Another way to detect the unconscious is in dreams. That's easy to see, no? Typically one dreams of things that are not possible in the real world. You may have surprised yourself before with dreams of things you never experienced, haven't you? They really were beyond your imagination, weren't they? Something your conscious mind could never have came up with. Yes, dreams are quite close to the unconscious. Dreams are an important subject of study in Jungian psychology. We'll go over that in another lecture. Mental illness, the unconscious going wild. As a psychiatrist, Jung considered the unconscious to be a big problem. Why? Because he's considered it to be the cause of mental illness. This is how we saw things. In a healthy mind, the conscious was in control, reigning in the unconscious. But for his mentally ill patient, the unconscious broke free of its reins and ran amok. Hearing it that way, you might think that the unconscious is a bad thing. But that's not quite how Jung saw it. An uncontrolled unconscious taking over is a bad thing, yes, but the unconscious itself is not innately bad. What led him to say this, you might ask? His observation as a psychiatrist led him to realize that the cause of mental illness was actually on the conscious side. When you suppress your emotion too tightly, or work too hard, or stretch yourself to your limit, the unconscious maggots move. Essentially, when the conscious mind becomes overtaxed and unbalanced, the unconscious mind comes out as if to stop it. The unconscious compensated for the conscious when the latter overextends itself. Seen this way, the unconscious definitely seems like something you want to have. Its role is to balance the mind. The ego within the conscious. Now then, so far we have learned to view the mind as divided into conscious and unconscious halves. Next, let's talk about you. Ego, conscious, unconscious. The ego within the conscious, then the you of your conscious mind is referred to in Jungian psychology as the ego. This too is now common terms, which make things complicated. But for purpose of this lecture, when I say ego, it will carry the Jungian's meaning. The ego in the center of the conscious and in most respect is the mind, but it is only you in the conscious sense. The domain of the ego does not extend into the unconscious. This will be a key point later on in our studies of Jungian psychology. So let me ask you again. When you think of the unconscious, how do you feel? It's scary, I don't feel anything. Mad respect? There's the answer I was looking for. Good, it seems you understand. You cannot understand the mind's true form without knowing and respecting the unconscious. The ego within the conscious, essentially we are residents of the conscious, so our thinking is biased toward it. We take the conceited view that we are the master of our own minds. When in truth, the mind is nothing but a tiny conscious working on the support of the unconscious massive energies. If you forget that, I'm sure you've seen the freaking bell. Well then, our time is up. Next time, I'll cover the amazing disposition of the mind as advocated by Jung or whatever. So ends today's lesson. Okay guys, okay, one video for two lessons. I think that's enough. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and meet again after the next video. No, after this video. Good lesson. Goodbye and have a nice day.